voice messaging system.
Hey, Benji, I just got to the airport. I really hope you left already. Oh, God, you made it.
What's up, cuz?
I'm Tara Hitchcock, Jesse, from Arizona, but I have to quickly tell you, we actually did a very similar tour I did with my sisters to Poland in 2012, so I just have to congratulate you on this film.
Well, thanks. I'm so glad to hear you made a similar trip. That's really cool.
We stay moving, we stay light, we stay agile. Yeah. The conductor's gonna come through taking tickets. We tell him we're going to the bathroom.
Bathroom.
He gets to the back of the train, he's gonna start heading towards the front looking for stragglers.
Well, the only concern I had was, are you afraid that you've now taught people how to avoid paying for a train ticket when they're in Poland?
It's so funny. That scene, basically, when I had come up with that scene, I thought it was funny. And then I thought, wait a second, isn't this actually just possible? Like, if you're going one stop, where are they going to kick you out? What, are they not going to make you stay on the train? So
Yep.
Yes, I was trying to, it's so funny. That scene was not in my original script. It was the only scene that was not in my original draft. And my producer is Emma Stone, your local
Yep.
hero.
Of course, we love Emma.
And she said, you need a scene where you see the two characters together away from the tour. You need to see them get lost together somewhere. And so I was thinking of this scene and I conceived of this idea. And I conceived of this idea because Benji, who Kieran Culkin brilliantly plays, is kind of like a schemer. And so I was thinking of what he would do. And then it occurred to me, actually, anybody could do this.
Well, it's one of a gazillion wonderful scenes. Another scene that I just want to point out is obviously your scene at the restaurant where you basically kind of unload to the others in the group about all these complex and conflicting, fantastic feelings about Kieran's character. And I know you don't like to watch yourself, and I know you have your own demons that you struggle with, but what was it like to film that scene? And do you know how great you did with that particular scene in addition to the others?
That's so nice of you to say. I was so self-conscious about putting myself on camera in a way that felt like indulgent, because I was directing it and I felt embarrassed in front of the other actors, doing a shot that pushes in on my face, it just seems so indulgent. So we did it once. I apologized to all the other actors and we moved on. And then I was I couldn't even watch it because it was I don't know, it felt so personal and invasive. So I just called the editor the next day. The editor was getting the footage in New York and I was like, is it okay? He's like, it's a little bit out of focus, but it'll be okay. Yeah, so that was it because we only did it once. We couldn't. Yeah, so there's a little bit that's buzzy, fuzzy for a second. But no, you're so kind to say that. To me, that monologue was the reason I wrote the movie. It's this whole movie is really about how I feel about my cousin, this fraught, weird, funny relationship. And that monologue is the reason the movie exists for me. Not even all the autobiographical stuff like visiting the house where my family lived or going to the town.
Sure.
It's really that. It's my character's feelings about his relationships with his childhood best friend.
It's interesting. I mean, as a moviegoer, and you've provided us with so many incredible moments, I just want to give you a hug and force you to watch yourself and get past this. But I do feel like Kieran, with all the talk that you've done about how he works so differently from someone like you who has planned everything and can't, and is struggling with all this stuff, it's I almost feel like he was thrown in your path to also help you as a human being. And I'm wondering if at least he has been able to help you with some of this stuff.
That is such a nice question. And I think the answer is yeah. He is so unself-conscious. He so trusts his own abilities that he would look at the pages of the scene the morning we were filming the scene, and he would memorize it in about 10 seconds. He's a genius. I don't know. He's some kind of unusual mind. And so and then he was so assured of his own abilities and his own ability to live in the moment and react and do all the wonderful things actors strive to do that he excelled because he didn't overthink it. And I'm the opposite. I sometimes excel because I'm in such a kind of panic about the thing that it brings my emotions to the surface and allows me to act. But I watch him and he's just brilliant without kind of worrying about just stupid, petty little things that can occur. He's truly lives in the moment and was so inspiring to work with.
Well, congratulations, Jesse. I long for you one day to be able to sit back and just watch this like we got to see it and enjoy it objectively. But you just did a wonderful job. I can't wait to see what you do next.
That's so nice of you to say. Thanks a lot.
Our grandma is from here, so Dave arranged for us to join this geriatric Polish tour with you fine people.
Congratulations, you guys. This movie is just beautiful. I'll start, Will, with you. I hear that you actually could give a tour on the places where you shot this film. You were that knowledgeable in the locations. Is that true?
Probably no longer. I think what happened was quite early in the filming process. There was a day when Jesse wanted to get like a couple of additional shots of location and was like, so, well, maybe you could just be filling us in on commenting on the architecture and stuff. And I was like, Jesse, I don't know all of Polish history. I don't know I can't improvise on Polish architecture. And so, he gave me a feed. And then from that point on, whenever we were, going to a place, I'd always make sure I'd researched it a little bit or gone to Jesse for a feed on the headlines of, what are points of interest here, just in case he wanted to do that, which he did another few times. But I remember there was a day where Kieran was like, hey, why do you know so much about Polish history? And I was like, no, I've literally Googled it this morning.
I want to ask you, obviously, Jennifer, you're part of this tour group. I thought, James, you did a wonderful job, or Will, you did a wonderful job as James leading the tour. But there is that scene where Kieran lets you know what he thinks of your touring skills and offers you advice. But there's also a part where you appreciate such honesty. And Jennifer, I'll start with you. What is the harshest bit of criticism maybe that you received that you also had to somehow appreciate in its bluntness?
In my life?
In your life, is there anything where it's like, oh, that stung, but you know what? I'm going to use that as a learning experience. And
I mean, honestly, I can't think of anything specific, but I will tell you, in general, I know that we all have blind spots. And when somebody that you know is crazy about you and loves you and wishes you only well, gives you a harsh toke about yourself, it's always better. And I'd always want to know. I think it's really important to be able to take a note and to not be devastated by it, because I think it's about what I've learned in my later years, and that I really think is important, and I wished I'd known younger, is that I'm still me, even if I have qualities that are annoying, or I make a mistake, or I miss the mark. And when I miss the mark, and I don't know I'm missing the mark, it's great to be able to go, wow, I can take that note and it doesn't destroy me because it doesn't define me,
And which is why I think, Will, the way your character responds later in the movie is just so perfect. The other great scene that I loved, and I'm curious if each of you were like this.
I think we should check on her.
Benji, maybe she wants to be alone.
Is when Kieran wants to approach you, Jennifer, as you're walking by yourself, and Jesse says maybe she wants to be alone, and Kieran says nobody wants to be alone. And I thought that was so beautiful. And I'm wondering, when you all are traveling or with groups, do you notice others, or are you kind of like, no, that's, if they wanted me to come over, I'd come over. But in the meantime, I just thought that was a beautiful, I just love that.
It's so beautiful because from David's perspective, he would want to be alone. And Benji's like, she has sadness. If someone has sadness, because he's so empathetic and he's so porous and he's so unfiltered, and he just sees her, he can feel and see her suffering, that he's literally drawn to her because of it, as opposed to being repelled by it. And it's exactly what she needs, is to be seen and to be comforted by someone who's not afraid of being a mess, of being out of control, of being a social pariah, and also really amazing, that we're complicated people.
I feel like that's what the group is responding to with Benji, is there's a world in which on a tour like that, everyone does give each other a bit of space, kind of politely respecting boundaries.
Yeah.
But because Benji is so just kind of like, who are you? What's this? Why are we doing this? It kind of makes for a kind of refreshingly open dynamic on the group in the group tour.
And I think he breaks people open.
Yeah. So even though David's like, why are you doing, what are you doing? Ultimately, to David's sort of fascination and frustration, Benji sort of seems to make a much deeper connect with all of them by the end of the tour.
But I do feel for Benji, because I feel like he has actually changed so many people's lives, maybe every one of them, and has somehow enhanced their experience or their understanding of themselves, or felt less alone. And yet nobody has reciprocated that for him.
You